What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So in the never-ending saga of the P320 and all the controversy, yGuns has just come out. They put out a video on their Instagram. I didn't see it there. I saw it on the Out of Focus Clips channel, which is Focus Trips, I think his shorts channel. I'll put a link to that below. I just wanted to add on top of that and touch on some of the stuff that was in there. That is a yGuns video that they play in that video, admitting that LFD research's video and videos like mine that came out. I'll put a link to my previous video down below if you haven't seen that. It is repeatable that the SIG 320 can go off uncommanded with 4 specific things having to happen for that scenario to be possible. And it is exactly what I touched on. It's exactly what LFD research touched on. Okay, there's 4 things that have to happen, and I can clearly see how they could happen. And let me set up a little scenario for you. Let me briefly go over what it was before. All right, the SIG M17 I got here. This one exhibits the problem, one of the problems that I mentioned. Okay, see how the sear is down below? It's in the takedown mode. All right, see how the sear is below right here, all right? If you rotate, see how it comes up halfway? If you assemble it correctly, you have to press up on this, slide, stop, slide, release, and see how the sear pops up into full position? If your gun exhibits that issue, okay, and you have because we've been talking about it, a 10 millimeter or a 10 millimeter or 45 takedown lever installed in the gun, and you reassemble the gun incorrectly, and your striker safety, which is, let me get a little pointer here. I'll get a little Allen wrench. Your striker safety, which is right here. You see me moving this thing right here? That's your striker safety. There's a coil spring in there that springs fail. All right, let's face it. Springs, they take a set and they fail. After so many times, let's say it fails, or early on when these were MIM'd, Sig Mechanic has it on his channel. They have cracked and they have failed. If those 4 things happen, you can get the SIG P320 to go off uncommanded. Now, I want to show you why I believe, it's just my theory, my opinion, SIG knew that this was an issue. And you know how SIG's famous for doing rolling changes without telling anybody? But a lot of gun companies do that. It's not just SIG. This pin right here is the pin you need to remove when you're taking down the FCU. All right, when you're taking down an FCU, this pin is what you need to remove to take away this magazine, or this disconnect lever right here. And it's also got the magazine block in there. You see that? SIG has permanently affixed in here. Now, I'm sure they have some type of jig or something like that. When I attempted to take this off, I was going to make a video where I swapped the levers and basically prove what LFD research did, and now that yGuns has confirmed. So for all the yGuns, and it's not, apparently they're closely connected with SIG. They confirmed that these 4 things line up. Now, is that very rare? Sure. The pistol can go off uncommanded. I cannot get this out. I have bent a punch trying to get this out. All right. But on this 320 carry, I can push it out. I can basically push it out by hand almost. Okay. So this one I'm able to completely take apart with no issue. This one I can't get out. It seems like, now you can't see it because it's under this bar right here. Maybe I can show you a little bit right there. But it's almost like they peened it over. I bent punches. I did everything. The other ones I can just push out with a punch. Sometimes I can pull them out with my hand. In certain takedown videos, they will say they will even fall out. Okay. Now, here's where let me put this back in here. I concluded in the video that I linked down below that it is possible to reassemble this gun, what I call Glock style, because I show in another video how I was taught to take down a Glock, and it's very similar how you do this. Now, if, let's say, because it happens, most of the videos we see this happening, it seems to happen to law enforcement. And what I mean is, it's not, there are some when they're reholstering, there are some, but there's some where they've been on shift for hours. They get out of their car. They're wrestling with a suspect. There was one recently released out of Seattle, out of Washington State. If I can find it, I will link that below, where a female deputy, it's like 5 of them, are wrestling with a subject or suspect in a supermarket, and her gun goes off. Bang. All right. Now, I can see a scenario, because police departments have armorers, where an armorer mistakenly orders the takedown levers because for whatever reason, they're damaged, they're whatever. Then a takedown lever is a 45 or 10 millimeter takedown lever is mistakenly, not an M17, because again, I think they knew something was hinky there, because that pin I could no longer take out, preventing me from removing the takedown lever, which is also the magazine block. Anyway, I could see a scenario where that part was damaged, whatever. Maybe it was part of an upgrade. Maybe a department had older SIGs and they were like, oh, we need to upgrade these. And the armorer ordered parts and put them in there. Okay. And they put a 45 or a 10 millimeter takedown lever in. Then as the officer was reassembling their pistol, they reassembled it incorrectly by pushing back on here and using the takedown lever. I mean, not pressing up on the slide stop. Okay. Now the gun is what they say in the video, the Gray Guns video, it's perching on the sear. Okay. That's the third thing. So wrong takedown safety lever, reassembled incorrectly. Okay. The sear is now perching. And if the spring was, let's say, damaged, missing because they took the striker thing out and cleaned it. I've seen people do that, guys. I have seen people put bullets in backwards in the magazine. I have seen people, heck, HK did it on one of their catalogs for SHOT Show 20 years ago or whatever it was. The photographer didn't know they put the bullets in backwards. I have literally seen in real life people reassemble guns completely incorrectly, lock them up, put bullets in backwards, put magazines in backwards. Comment down below if you've seen that. You've seen it. So the human factor is part of these products, okay? Then the let's say the striker safety spring is missing or the striker safety lever is broken. And then they insert the magazine, put it in their holster, and they're walking around and that striker's perched and it goes off. Again, Gray Guns just confirmed LFD's findings that it is possible, okay? It's possible for it to do it. Now, is it rare? Absolutely, it's rare. I've always contended that it's very rare. But why would you have a product that can be, when reassembled incorrectly, acknowledging that it is user error, that is reassembled incorrectly, that there's a possibility it can go off? There's been several firearms. The most famous is the Ross, the Canadian Ross rifle, was able to be reassembled incorrectly and it would still fire and the bolt would come back and hit people in the face. Ian McCollum, Forgotten Weapons, did a whole video on the Ross rifle and how if reassembled by the end user, the soldier, the average non-gun person, reassembled it incorrectly, it could fire and injure or kill the user. So what did they do? They drilled a hole, put a pin in or a screw or something that prevented you. You were only able to reassemble the pistol one way, the safe way, the correct way, and it took care of that problem. So I don't understand why they won't redesign the gun. Maybe they will now with it all coming out, because this is just breaking news. And for people like, well, if they all had the thumb safety, this thumb safety does not block the sear from moving in this gun. It only blocks the trigger. Okay, it is a trigger block. The sear can still move independently if it is shocked and it's just perching, okay? This does not block the sear in any way. Why don't they just, if they add a thumb safety, why don't they just put a sear block in there? So when you engage it, there's no way, you know. Also, reassemble your guns correctly, but fix it so it can't be reassembled incorrectly. Put something in there where if they reassemble it incorrectly, as soon as the slide comes home, it pops the little thing in there so it cannot be reassembled incorrectly. Again, thumb safety does not block the sear. The thumb safety on a 1911 right here blocks the sear. The two safeties, grip safety, this blocks the trigger bow. As soon as you push that back, you can move. This only, the grip safety only blocks the trigger bow. When you engage the thumb safety on a 1911, it physically blocks the sear from moving. So I know you're saying, well, 1911s can go, you know, which is, can are not drop safe because if they fall on the muzzle, Series 70, inertia from the firing pin can go forward and strike a primer. You are correct on the old guns. Although I got a theory on that with harder military primers, and nowadays they have titanium firing pins, or like Colt did, the Series 80 safety, or the short safety like Kimber uses in their stainless 2 models. So they were aware of that way back in the day, that was a possibility, and they corrected some of the guns. Also, if the 1911 falls straight down and goes off, it shoots a bullet into the ground. It's not, you know. But there it is. I believe, and this is just my opinion, it's just conjecture, it's just an educated guess, that by SIG permanently affixing that pin in there and not allowing you to be able to remove it like you can on the commercial models, that they knew that getting the takedown lever swapped, at least that part of it, was a possibility. Because why else would you pin that in and not be able to do it? Also, real quick, I did a video where I bought this specifically to try the sear modification. And people are like, why'd you do that? Don't cut the sear legs off. Per Sig Mechanic, credit to him, this is a photo from one of his videos. This is the old sear and the new sear. The old sear didn't have that leg on there. And the old pre-voluntary upgrade guns were not having uncommanded discharges. They weren't drop safe if dropped at a very specific angle, but they weren't having uncommanded discharges. There's a picture of it. No leg on that sear. Okay? And also, I want to make sure I think these guns really need to pay attention to their springs and stuff like that. I'll try to roll in a picture too if I can't get it, but these are the two sear springs. Yeah, I'll roll a picture in. They are set. One is, I don't know how old this gun was. This one's twisted and set. I don't know if it's got bends in it and it's all twisted up. Again, I'll try to roll in a picture right here. But on Sig Mechanic's video where he goes and he visits Sig and then comes back, he put out a video where he said, I've got a fix for the uncommanded discharge problem. And then he says, well, I got more info. I'll be right back in a week. And he goes, come to find out, he goes to Sig, talks to him, comes back, goes, there's no issues. It's all holsters. It's all holsters. Okay. He also mentions that they had problems with certain FCUs like 58A and 58B or 57A. I know 58A was one, and look at this one, 58A. So he says this is one of the problem pistols. I don't have a problem with the pistol, and I even cut the leg off. Look in the video down below. No issues. But I think these guns are sensitive to the springs. The springs probably need to be replaced. I have no idea how old the springs were in this, so I replaced the sear spring, and I even replaced the trigger bar spring with a plus 10%. That gives it a little bit more juice to help keep it forward if it's dropped. And I haven't been able to get a new striker safety spring yet for this one. But I think, again, I stated in the video about a week ago, I think we're on the right track, the community, the gun community as a whole, that if those issues, those 4 issues are present in your gun can go off uncommanded. Now the question is, how is SIG going to mitigate this? Are they going to put out a public statement? Did they mitigate it by pinning in, permanently affixing the pin in there? Where I'm sure they have some type of armorers at SIG where they have some type of press where they can knock it out or something. But the home user can't, at least on mine. Let me know if you have an M17. Oh, by the way, I did have a comment in my previous video where the guy said, I can't get the pin out on my M17. I have the same problem. So there's at least 2 of us out there. If you own an M17, let me know if you can get that pin out or not. Because there's no way. I was bending. Look at the bend that this, and I bent it back. I hammered it back. It took to it. And the other one's just pressed right out. So I stopped before I damaged something and I said, that's not right. It shouldn't be doing that. So guys, let me know what you think about Gray Guns now confirming LFD Research's video. What do you think SIG's going to do moving forward? And yeah, there it is. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching. We will see you next time.